Fabricio Verdum and Wanderlei Silva. Hey, guess what? We working here. Oh shit, you got no job, motherfucker? Enjoy the favelas, bitch.
No mercy. Indian gangster. Nizuruma Gansala. Tranquilos, luces.
A fight.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because you speak to people, and to be honest, I think you could speak to him, the next day and the next day and the next day, and he'd probably keep changing his mind the same as everybody else. It is one of those kind of fights, and I think because there's not a great deal of build-up, there's a lot of mystery around what's going on, how each fighter's looking, and where their mind's at going into this one. I keep going back and forth on it. When we first started talking about the fight, I expected Khabib to be able to get Conor to the floor and just maul him. But then that opinion's changed several times. I watched the first 2 rounds of the Iaquinta fight and I thought, my goodness, Khabib's dangerous. Then I watched the last 2 rounds and I thought, I think Conor's going to knock him out with the left hand. You go back to the Michael Johnson fight, I felt the same thing then. You saw him rock for a second, you think Conor's going to light him up with that left hand. And the thing that keeps going around in my head is that Khabib lacks footwork. He's excellent once he's got his hands on you, but until he gets his hands on you, his footwork is just moving forward. And Conor's smart enough to start walking people on. Now, the difference is that he's got to create the space to land that left hand. And we saw Edson Barbosa struggling, but Edson Barbosa's a kicker. So with Conor, being a specialist with his left hand, I feel like he's going to be able to create that space for it. I do think he's going to have to...
As a jiu-jitsu master, if you were to work with Conor McGregor for his fight versus Khabib, what would you do? Could he master the rubber guard in fucking 8 weeks? How is he gonna survive down there? Listen, if he doesn't knock him out initially, of course, people are saying that, but yeah, tell me your thoughts on that.
If I had, 3-4 months to train him, I would definitely add rubber guard to his game. Would it be enough at that point? I don't know. But I would add a lot of other stuff too. We would be working, guard retention, guard recovery, side control escape, back escape, mount escape, over and over every day. Side control escape, guard recovery, guard retention. What I think the mistake people are making with Khabib, the biggest mistake is when they get taken down, they're trying to get back up. Getting back up is not going to work against Khabib. That's where he shines. He shines in riding people that are trying to get back up. You remember that movie, The Warriors?
Of course.
Sure. Remember when they were running from the baseball Furies? Ajax and that other guy were running, and the baseball Furies were chasing them through the park. Remember that?
Of course.
And they were running, and then Ajax and that guy decided to stop. They're like, fuck this running. Let's stop. Let's just stop and beat these pussies up, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
They stopped. I think when Tony fights Khabib, he's not going to be trying to drag himself up from the fence. He's going to square up and fight him off his back, not spend the whole goddamn round trying to get up and getting beat down. That shit ain't going to work against Khabib. He wants you to do that shit. So he hasn't had anybody with a high-level guard square up with him and fight him and go after him for off his back. You know what I mean? Attack him off his back, not trying to drag themselves away and trying to climb up the fence and just drag themselves and turning and trying to stand up. That shit will never work. That's just going to lose you rounds. So, I'm not saying that my strategy will work, but we already know that other strategy is not going to work. So with Tony, we're constantly preparing to, if he ends up on his back, to attack. And I don't think no one's throwing any heat at Khabib off their back. They're just trying to survive and trying to get back up. So that's the approach we're going to take with Khabib.
So when Khabib
elbows, you know what I mean? Throw elbows. Put him in full guard. Constant. Don't try to drag yourself away. Try to focus on putting him in full guard and throwing elbows. Recover, throw elbows. Recover, throw elbows. Recover, throw elbows. Cut him up instead of trying to drag yourself away like a zombie.
So you think when guys have been taken down by Khabib, they're almost thinking, okay, this is the nightmare I was worried about. Just try to get out of it instead of addressing it head on.
Exactly. They're all trying to drag themselves away, and he just rides those wrists. And if they do get back on their feet, he's just going to bring them back down again. He's really good against the fence, standing against the fence. Khabib is amazing standing against the fence. Whether he came from, being just like a kickboxing situation and then clinching against the fence, you're fucked. Or he took you down and you got up and you're against the fence. Same scenario, he'll just retake you down. And that's you're just going to lose rounds.
But finally started to recognize I'm the greatest welterweight of all time. And that's really all I want. I really just wanted to go out there and give God glory, go out there and just push my body to the limit and have people see me do freaking crazy performances or crazy game plan, whatever the case may be, and be like, man, how the heck did he do that? And I can just say, hey, man, God, it's so much I had going into this fight that people don't know about, mentally, personally, that I can't even share a lot of it. But the fact that I was able to go out there and do that, despite of everything, man, I can't stop giving God glory today because there's no.
I'm really close with Tyron, and I've known Dana for, I've known Dana since 2001. I mean, he hired when they first bought the UFC, they hired me to fight BJ Penn. Actually, Genki Sudo, but BJ Penn stepped in for that. So I've known Dana forever. We do the show together, and the thing about those two is they're so much alike. They just have different points of view of the world, but other than that, they have so much in common.
That's probably the issue, don't you think?
Yeah, and that's a problem. I just wish that one day they would just sit down and go, man, listen, how can we make this work? How can we get in a relationship to make this work? Because, I think they would...